Hi guys, just want to give you a quick update on the work I've done on the engine the past few days. So one of the bugbears of mine I'd like for a long time is that the number of lights I could use to illuminate any mesh was limited to 5. So what I would do during the rendering pass is to figure out for every mesh the 5 closest light points and use those to render the actual mesh, which in general gave good results using the Red Spectre game. Because normally once you shoot there's so much light right in front of you that you kind of tend to miss or not notice there's not light beyond your initial threshold. But obviously there's something I did want to change. One of the limitations of the shades I was using at the time is basically I was using too many uniforms. So let me show you. So it's different now, but before this here would be a struct called lights, and would have like all these array types, which all give you basically like array of these properties for every light. But obviously, once you hit like 6 or 7 lights, you go over like the boundaries of how many uniforms are allowed within a shader. So after doing some digging and for some help from the OpenGL forum, I actually found a way to mitigate that by using uniform buff objects. So that's basically what I've done here. So instead of using individual uniforms, I now use like uniform buff objects called lights. And for every light, I still got the same properties, and basically number of every property basically determine the number of lights. So you can see here now I set the maximum to 32. I've tested like I can go up to like 100, but that goes outside the boundary of number of textures allowed per shader. Given the OpenGL standard. So even though my graphics card can deal with it, it doesn't mean that in general that's the case. So I can't play it safe, basically limited to 32, which is plenty for my purposes anyways. So let me just show you a few examples. So for light, so this is a very simple demo. There is just a grid of cubes with like arrays of I think 56 lights spinning around it and illuminate the whole thing. So before what you would see is that for every cube, I'll basically calculate the 5 closest lights, use those to illuminate it, but that would give like really weird, choppy artifacts and would look really weird as well. But given I can now render like with most of them, so even though the max now is 32, there's still a few artifacts you might notice, but it's barely visible, if you will. Another change I've made as well is instead of calculating the number of lights per mesh, I only calculate close lights to the camera. I use these to illuminate the entire scene. The reason for being so is because to upload or to stream like the uniform buff object for all the lights for every mesh is really expensive. So instead of basically doing like per mesh, I do like once per render. And that way I can basically buffer like the these of the lights once and then use them continuously for rendering all the meshes in that one rendering pass, and that's really speeds up things by quite a margin. Um, so that's one improvement. Let's see, I think I was going to show here. Yes, also with the changes this. So the second problem I basically ran into is I had too many outs in the vertex shader. So I would basically calculate the like half vectors, light vector, loads of like vectors to do with like lighting calculations in the vertex shader, because then you basically interpolate them in the fragment shader, and that will really speed things up. But because I once the lights go like above like 10 or something, I like so many outs between the vertex and the fragment shader basically became unfeasible, and OpenGL refused to do anything. So to cut it all down, I basically limit the data as basically sent and do all the calculations now on the fragment shader, which should be slower. Uh, yield like slightly better results for like non-linear kind of calculations. But actually, I found that because the way it restructures all the shaders, and got like less branches in them. It's actually faster in some cases. Just to not sure, probably I'm going to show you, but in this demo here, it would normally hit around 60 frames per second. That'll be, basically the average. So this is seen a show before. So this is the first work I've did. So we start like last week, early this week, where I want to basically calculate shadow maps for every point light. So every little yellow ball here is a point light, and basically cast shadows in all directions. As you can see, like most cubes got like three shadows attached to them, correspond like the 3 point lights over here. And then I've got a spotlight right here, basically facing its direction. As you can see, basically create this circular shape on the wall. And this took quite some time to get the whole thing set up and get the whole thing working. But that works now. But yeah, so back to the point in question. So as you can see here, the FPS now is almost like triple what was before, which is a really nice price. Plus results are slightly better as well, so that's really, really nice. But the biggest thing, of course, is that I basically updated the engine, now updated the Red Spectre as well. And what you will see now is, compared to previous versions, they could only see the 5 closest lights. If you shoot, say, the plasma rifle, basically the latest 5 bullets would be visible, the rest would not be. So they would basically show in like environmental light. So for example, like this moon and sun that comes up in a second, they both cast shadows on the scene, as you can see here. So it casts like shadows, but normally if I basically shoot this thing, these shadows basically disappear. So even though they are faint now, you can still clearly see them. Not so much with the moon, because it's really, really faint when the other light comes up, like here. So even though I'm shooting, you can still clearly see the shadow on the ground. It never goes away. So before, you get some really weird lighting effects where you'll be shooting, and if there's only like 4 or 5 lights on the screen at any given point, you basically see like the lights of the sun and moon basically go on, off, on, off, on, off, and off, like a really flickery, weird effect by doing so. But with the new, basically updated engine, we can basically support basically 100 lights or so. This is no longer an issue, and now, yeah, you don't get these weird artifacts. Yeah, as you can see, like the lights and shadows continually show of the sun and moon, so that's definitely fixed. That's really, really nice. Yeah, so I'm well pleased with that. So both got like a performance boost because I sent like less uniforms. So basically sending. Oh, so yeah, so basically sending more uniforms during the rendering phase really can slow things down like by quite a significant amount. But yeah, so basically having less of that and just buffering the entire lines, basically give like a one big go, really help things out. So yeah, so I'm very happy with like the current results at the moment. So everything looking great. So I think I might do a few more optimizations, but eventually I should basically start working on some more gameplay aspects of Red Spectre. But just wanted to update the tech I was using to make sure, yeah, to fix like the lighting issues. So speaking to a few people, I'm actually considering implementing something that's called 4 plus rendering, because then I can basically really push limits and go up to like maybe like 1,000 lights or something. So the way that works roughly is you divide the viewport into basically into like separate cells and do lighting calculations individually for each individual cell. Because that way you basically need to consider fewer lights for your calculation and still allowed to have like hundreds if not thousands of lights in your scene. So it's actually kind of stuff that Doom is using, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so even like I just noticed here, so the FPS on this thing is like 400, whereas before it would barely scratch maybe like 100 or so. So it seems that I both got more lights, more more better looking graphics, and even got like a boost in performance, which is quite a nice surprise actually. So yeah, that's basically a small update. So like I said, next thing is either going to be more gameplay aspects of Dread Spectre, or maybe some more tinkering with the engine. It's quite addictive, to be honest, to keep working the engine, but I guess at some point put like a pin in it and actually make some games. But anyways, that's the update for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later with new updates. Thank you.